Hello friends, I am Aditi. Welcome to my channel Library Mouse. Today I am going to read a book, How to Develop Self-Confidence and Influence People by Public Speaking by Dale Carnegie. This book contains 12 chapters, so let's continue with chapter 9. The Power of a Biblical Quotation. If you can quote a passage from Holy Writ to back up your speech, you are fortunate. A choice biblical quotation often has a profound effect. The well-known financier Frank Vanderlip used this method in ending his talk on the Allied debits to the United States. If we insist to the letter upon our claim will in all probability never be met. If we insist upon it selfishly, if we realize in hatreds but not in cash, if we are generous and wisely generous, those claims can all be paid, and the good we do with them will mean more to us materially than anything we would conceivably be parting with. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever shall lose his life for my sake and the gospel's, the same shall save it. The climax. The climax is a popular way of ending. It is often difficult to manage and is not an ending for all speakers nor for all subjects. But when well done, it is excellent. It works up to a crest, a peak getting stronger sentence by sentence. A good illustration of the climax will be found in the close of the prize-winning speech on Philadelphia in chapter 3. Lincoln used the climax in preparing his notes for a lecture on Niagara Falls. Note how each comparison is stronger than the preceding, how he gets a cumulative effect by comparing its age to Columbus, Christ, Moses, Adam, and so on. It calls up the indefinite past, when Columbus first showed his continent, when Christ suffered on the cross, when Moses led Israel through the Red Sea, nay, even when Adam first came from the hands of his Maker. Then as now, Niagara was roaring here. The eyes of that species of extinct gates whose bones fill the mounds of America have gazed on Niagara, as ours do now. Contemporary with the first race of men and older than the first man, Niagara is as strong and fresh today as 10,000 years ago. The mammoth and mastodon, so long dead that fragments of their monstrous bones alone testify that they ever lived, have gazed on Niagara. In that long, long time never still for a moment, never dried, never frozen, never slept, never rested. Wendell Phillips employed this self-same technique in his addresses on Toussaint Louverture. The close of it is quoted below. This selection is often cited in books on public speaking. It has vigor, vitality. It is interesting even though it is a bit too ornate for this practical age. This speech was written more than half a century ago, assuming, isn't it, to note how woefully wrong were Wendell Phillips' prognostications concerning the historical significance of John Brown and Toussaint Louverture 50 years hence when truth gets a hearing. It is as hard evidently to guess history as it is to foretell next year's stock market or the price of lard. I would call him Napoleon, but Napoleon made his way to empire over broken oaths and through a sea of blood. This man never broke his word. No retaliations was his great motto and the rule of his life, and the last words uttered to his son in France were these: "My boy, you will one day go back at Santo Domingo. Forget that France murdered your father." I would call him Cromwell, but Cromwell was only a soldier, and the state he founded went down with him into his grave. I would call him Washington, but the great Virginian held slaves. This man risked his empire rather than permit the slave trade in the humblest village of his dominions. You think me a fanatic tonight, for you read history, not with your eyes, but with your prejudices. But 50 years hence, when truth gets a hearing, the muse of history will put Phocion for the Greek, and Brutus for the Roman, Hampden for England, Lafayette for France. Choose Washington as the bright, consummate flower of our earlier civilization, and John Brown the reap fruit of our non-day. Then, dipping her pen in the sunlight, will write in the clear blue above them all the name of the soldier, the statesman, the martyr, Toussaint L'Ouverture. When the toe touches. Hunt, search, experiment until you get a good ending and a good beginning. Then get them close together. The speaker who does not cut his talk to fit in with the prevailing mood of his hurried, rapid age will be unwelcome and sometimes positively disliked. No less a saint than Saul of Tarsus sinned in this respect. He preached until a chap in the audience, a young man named Eutychus, went to sleep and fell out of a window and all but broke his neck. Even then Saul may not have stopped talking. Who knows? I remember a speaker, a doctor, standing up one night at the University Club, Brooklyn. It had been a long banquet. Many speakers had already talked. It was 2 o'clock in the morning when his turn came. Had he been endowed with tact and fine-feeling discernment, he would have said half a dozen sentences and let us go home. But did he? No, not he. He launched into a 45-minute tirade against vivisection. Long before he was halfway through, his audience were wishing that he, like Eutychus, would fall out of a window and break something, anything, to silence him. Mr. Lorimer, when editor of the Saturday Evening Post, told me that he always stopped a series of articles in the Post when they were at the height of their popularity and people were clamoring for more. Why stop then? Why then of all times? Because, said Mr. Lorimer, the point of satiation is reached very soon after that peak of popularity. The same wisdom will apply and ought to be applied to speaking. Stop while the audience is still eager to have you go on. The greatest speech Christ ever delivered, the Sermon on the Mount, can be repeated in 5 times. Lincoln's Gettysburg addresses has only 10 sentences. One can read the whole story of creation in Genesis in less time than it takes to pursue a murder story in the morning paper. Be brief, be brief. Dr. Johnson, Archdeacon of Nyassa, wrote a book about the primitive peoples of Africa. He lived among them, observed them for 49 years. He relates that when a speaker talks too long at a village gathering or the Gavangwara, the audience silences him with shouts of Imetosha, Imetosha, enough, enough. Another tribe is said to permit a speaker to hold forth only so long as he can stand on one foot. When the toe of the lifted members touches the ground, finito, he has come to an end, and the average audience, even though they may be more polite, more restrained, dislike long speeches just as much. So be warned by their lot, which I know you will not, and learn about speaking from them. Here we completed our chapter 9. In next video we will continue with chapter 10. Thank you so much for listening it, and I hope it is understandable to you. If you enjoy watching my videos, do like, subscribe and share with your family and friends. Thank you.